Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Smitha. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will be reviewing the new product from TATI Beauty called Blendiful. First off, congratulations TATI on bringing such a unique product to an oversaturated market where everything looks the same and monotonous. This is the outer packaging. When I first saw it, I was pretty surprised how small and light this is. Here's a comparison with my iPhone XR so you can see the size difference. It's minimalistic, and knowing TATI, she's kept it eco-friendly all along, and I absolutely appreciate that. In front you have the logo and the contents, and in the back there's cleaning instructions, there's exos from TATI herself, and it also says that it's vegan and cruelty free. You tear off on top to open, and inside you'll find the Blendiful and the Baby Blendiful. This is the larger Blendiful, this is the front of it, this is the back with the finger grip, and it feels very soft to the touch. And this is the Baby Blendiful. The fabric feels the same as the larger Blendiful, but the Baby feels a lot more firmer than the Blendiful itself, perhaps because it's smaller in size. Great price point. It's $18 for two, while I pay anywhere from $15 to $20 for just one beauty sponge on an average. I received this last week and I wanted to post a review immediately, but then I thought to myself, this is not a one-time use and throw kind of a product. This is something that will be in your makeup stash, and this is something that you will use on a regular basis. So I wanted to really put this to test. When you use a brand new product, the results might be completely different from after using and washing time and again and then using it again. It might give you different results. So I wanted to see what is the real deal with this. And I also feel like there's so many different products out there in the market, and it can get really confusing. There are sponges, brushes, powder puffs. So I really wanted to test and compare and see if all you need is a Blendiful and you don't need the other products. I don't know. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, and watch this till the end before you make a decision whether you want to buy the Blendiful or not. If you're new here, please take a moment to subscribe. I post new videos every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And having said that, let's get straight into the Blendiful. So here's what I think I'm going to do just to compare the products. On one side of my face, I'm just going to follow my usual routine of using my fingers and sponges and powder puffs and brushes. And on the other side, we will use Blendiful for everything so we can compare the two sides. Now, because we have the Blendiful and the Baby Blendiful, I'll probably use the Blendiful for all the wet products and the Baby Blendiful for all the dry products and powders. I do have a couple of things on my face. I applied the Aveeno moisturizer. I'm done with my brows and I did apply a mascara. Other than that, I don't have anything on my face. I want to start with the primer first. I'm going to begin with the Porefessional by Benefit Cosmetics. I usually apply primer with my fingers, so I'm just going to use it on the left side with my finger. I'll apply this side with the Blendiful. So I'm taking a little bit of the primer and I'm just going to dot it. And now, for the very first time, I'm going to use this to gently press it in, and we'll see how it works. It's really quick with this, and it pretty much feels the same on both sides to the touch, so there isn't much difference between applying by fingers versus the Blendiful. Okay, well, let's move on to the foundation and see how it works. For foundation, I've decided to use something that gives a light to medium coverage, because we know with the sponge is going to absorb some of the product, and the coverage will be lighter, and I want to see how it works with the Blendiful, if it is going to absorb the product and give me that sheer look, or if it'll give me more coverage. So the foundation I'll be using is Fit Me by Maybelline. This is in the shade 210. Applied the primer using this corner, so I will move on to this corner now to buff out the foundation. So she asks you to use a sweeping and buffing motion to blend this out. So we'll see how it works. I feel like it's definitely giving me more coverage on this side. I don't know if you guys can see. I use the same amount of product on both the sides. I don't really like the dabbing motion from the sponge, so this seems a lot more delicate and easy to use, especially on the neck. Yeah, I think that definitely has given me a pretty good coverage. And this is what the Blendiful looks like right now. The product seems to be deposited on top. It's not really absorbed inside. And here's the sponge. Obviously, it's absorbed the foundation, as you can see. Here's the comparison of the sponge versus the Blendiful. Let's start with the sponge. It's obviously very easy to use. It's very soft, it's delicate, and it obviously provides a sheer coverage because it absorbs a lot of the product. And we use more of a bouncing motion to blend. But with the Blendiful, it's bendable, it's foldable, it's flexible, it's also delicate, but at the same time has the right firmness. It gives good coverage because it doesn't absorb product, and you use a sweeping and buffing motion rather than bouncing. For concealer, I'm going to be using my usual favorite Milani concealer in 145, which is warm beige. And now I'm going to be using this corner of the Blendiful, and nice thing is it's very flexible, so you can bend it and use it as well, which is precisely what I want to do for my concealer. Again, it has given me pretty good coverage. You can still see a little bit of my dark circles peeking through on this side where I use the sponge, and on this side it has pretty much covered everything. That is a huge advantage because if you're going to get this kind of coverage with less product, then why not, right? But in terms of blending under the eyes itself, I feel like the sponge feels more comfortable just under the eyes. It feels more delicate. It's a delicate area, so you want to use something that is really soft. And now let's move on to the powders and the dry products. I'm going to first start with the Airspun Translucent Loose Powder. This is what I'm going to be using to set the concealer as well as my face. Actually, for setting the powder, I'm really enjoying this. This is pretty firm and it goes into that corners pretty well. Maybe I should try the bigger Blendiful one more time to see how it works under the eyes. This little guy is really, really good. Okay, let's set the rest of the face. So I realized the best way to work with this is first you fold it and use it in the little corners and hard to reach areas, and then you open it up and just use it like a powder puff for more coverage, and it gets done really quick. To contour / bronze, I'm going to be using the Hoola bronzer from Benefit Cosmetics, and I usually use my favorite angled brush, so that's what I'm going to be using on my left side, just in the hollows of the cheekbones, jawline. Just warm up the forehead a little bit. And because this is a larger brush, to contour my nose, I end up using this brush. It looks like a toothbrush. It's part of an oval brush set that I bought off of Amazon. So basically, if I want a full face of contour, I usually end up using two brushes because I want one for bigger areas and one for little smaller areas. With the Blendiful, because it's more flexible and you can bend it, I'm hoping that I can contour my entire face with this. So I'm dipping this into the Hoola bronzer, and I'm going to start with this area. Yeah, that is really easy. Just for the heck of it, I want to compare it with a powder puff. As you can see, this one, the cloth looks a little bit more different than the powder puff that I have. I want to apply the blush with the powder puff on one side and the Blendiful on the other side and compare the two. For blush, I'm just going to be using this peachy blush from Colourpop. This is in Growth Flirt. So on this side, let's apply with the powder puff. Okay, that applied pretty good actually. And with the Blendiful, it's the same with Blendiful, so there's no difference with the powder puff and the Blendiful while using a powder product, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I think both sides pretty much look the same, so I guess when it comes to powder products, they probably perform equally well, the powder puff as well as the Blendiful. And now for the highlight, I'm going to be using Champagne Pop by Becca. I usually use a brush for highlights, so on the left side I'm just going to be using a highlighter brush, and on the right side, of course, I'm going to be using the Blendiful. Okay, so the texture on my left side is showing more than the texture on my right side, maybe because with the brush you cannot do the swiping motion. With this, I pressed it in. So this is it. I'm going to apply some lipstick. I'll be right back and we can compare the two sides. This is what the two Blendifuls look like after a full face of application, so they obviously need to be washed after every single use. Here's a comparison of the tools that I had to use on my left side versus the right side. Perhaps all you need is just one Blendiful if you use it for wet and dry products all put together. So I'll be testing that out next. So this is day one of use, but this is not the first and the only time I'm going to use it. At least that's not why I bought the product. So why don't we wash this a couple times, see how easy or difficult it is to actually wash it, and then try to use it again, see if there's any difference in the way the fiber feels, the cloth feels, and if it applies differently. So let's do that before we infer anything and make any decisions. So per the instructions in the back, I first used a mild soap to wash off in the sink, but was having a little bit of difficulty in removing the stains. So I put it in a light sock. This is what I do with my sponges as well, and I tied it with a scrunchie on top. And I washed it in the washer and dried it in the dryer. It was a lot more easier. It was much better and easier than washing it in the sink, but it still had a bit of stain, which is normal with any product. The brushes, the sponges, they all have it. There's going to be some wear and tear over time and use. Having said that, the fabric was soft. It felt like a brand new one. So there was no difference in terms of the fabric or the fiber or anything like that. Next day I decided to use just the larger Blendiful, used all the same products once again that I used on the very first day, and there was no difference in the results. Everything felt and looked the same. So how do I feel about the Blendiful? Okay, so here's what I feel. You know how some products are a necessity and there are some bonus products? I would categorize the Blendiful as a bonus. It's a nice to have product, but it's not an absolute necessity. It's not like a must-have product with your other makeup products and tools. Having said that, you won't feel bad that you bought it because it's $18 for two products. It will come in handy, especially when you travel or need some touch-ups, as one tool does it all, but at the same time, I don't see myself turning on the washer and dryer with every single use. Also, let's remember with every new product that comes out, there's a learning and adjustment curve. I took some time to adjust from fingers to brush first, and then from brush to the sponge when it came out first. So as time progresses, I might find better ways to wash and use and maintain the Blendiful. I hope this review was helpful and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and comment below and let me know if you want more reviews like this. My socials are listed below, so make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook for all the scoop. I love you guys so much and I will see you soon with a brand new video. Bye guys!